Welcome to Taking It to the Nub. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody is remembering those that have fallen. Remember, this is about those that have given their lives for this country this weekend. So just take that moment right now, just a moment of silence. Thank you. And thank those that are serving. Hopefully they all are going to be safe in what they do for us every day. Tonight's show, I tried to schedule a few weeks back. My guest, Luis Falto, from Falto Cigars, he got in a little car accident and he was kind of laid up for a little while. So we were able to get reconnected. He's feeling much better. And I'd like to welcome Luis Falto to the show. Luis, how are you?
Good.
Good. You feeling better?
Much better, thank you. Much better.
Very good. What are you smoking tonight?
I'm smoking Falto Prominente. I think I sent you a couple for you to try.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm enjoying right now.
I'm actually grabbed one of the Mentor cigars, which I think is named after your mentor from La Aroma, right?
La Aurora. He's Manuel Inoa. He's been working with me me working with him for the past 26 years. So he's the one who taught me everything I know about cigars and tobacco. So I made the cigar the mentor in all of him. Manuel Inoa, he's a master blender for La Aurora.
Now, your history, I don't know how many people know Luis, and we've met each other a few times at PCA and IPCPCR and all that. But you celebrated last year a very important milestone in this industry that a lot of brand owners, big and small, they haven't even come close to claiming that. I mean, you're in the ranks of Rocky Patel, Drew Estate, and other names of celebrating 25 years, and now this year, 26, in the cigar industry.
Very quietly, under the radar.
You flew under the radar. That's right. And you're still producing, and you're still working with La Aurora, right?
Yes. Always since the beginning, for 26 years now.
Wow. Now, how did that all come to be? I mean, so you're a young man. So what were you, 19 years old when you started?
I was 20 year old. Actually, when I went to college, I used to smoke with my father back in Puerto Rico. But then when I went to college, and I just kept smoking, I began smoking at 14 years old. I'm 46 years right now.
Okay.
So when I went to college, it was at the middle of the boom, so I couldn't find the cigars that I used to smoke with my father or whatever. So I decided I was studying in Washington, D.C. So I went to the embassy of the Dominican Republic. I wanted to make cigars according to my own taste and everything. And in 1994, I flew down to the DR looking for factories. And I visited a couple of them because I was very clear of what I wanted. I wanted to make a very small production of cigars, make my own blends, and I know my rollers. The people will actually work with my cigars. So after a few visits to a couple of different factories and manufacturers, I arrived to La Aurora, and they accepted what I wanted to do. So since that point on, I've been making my own blends, everything.
Now, one of the things you were saying, so you went to a number of different factories, and the part of the story that I like is these factories, they were like, nah, and not because of who you were or anything, but the one question you had was you wanted to create
my My own
A
blend.
blend for a vitola, not one blend, multiple vitolas. And they said you are.
Exactly. You know, exactly. It's just what to make. The thing is that my concept, and nowadays a lot of people are doing that. For example, you see the Andalusian bull from Dominican, I think only comes in one size. You know, and some other brands. The thing is that I, to me, the Vitora that I choose for the blend is the one that I believe is the best, like, the best Vitora that complements and develops the blend. You know, every cigar, even you, if you have a single blend and you make it in 3, 4 different sizes, every cigar is gonna smoke differently. But there's always gonna be one that's better than the other ones, according to your own taste. You know, I'm lucky because the blends that I make it only one size, and people seem to enjoy that. But to me, that's the Vitora the best complements the blend. So I might repeat Vitoras maybe in few occasions. I have two Robustos, different blends, of course. Every cigar is completely different. I have two Lonsdales and I have three Lanceros. That's the only times that I actually repeat Vitoras, but only because those are the sizes that best complement those distinctive blends, you know.
Now, how many total vitolas, and I guess each one's a blend, how many do you have in your portfolio now?
Right now I have maybe 20 different Vitoras.
Okay.
I have a Toro, for example, you're smoking the mentor is a Toro. I have Churchill, I have Corona Gordas. You have the Belicosa, which is the Invicto, Perfectos, Salomons, you know, Petit Corona. You know, I have a whole bunch of different, you know, different different Vitoras.
Now, the mentor that I'm smoking, what is the blend of this?
The wrapper there is a Cuban seed called HBA, Habana Vuelta Arriba, grown in Ecuador.
Okay.
The binder is a double binder. It has two different binders there. I believe it's uh, Cameroon and Coro, I believe. And the binder, the filler is mostly Dominican Republic with a little bit of Nicaragua and Brazil. Yeah.
Now, being from Puerto Rico and a native of Puerto Rico, do you use any Puerto Rican tobacco in your?
Unfortunately, you know, in the last century and before that, the Puerto Rican tobacco was very good. And I always mention that when there was a lack of tobacco in Cuba, they actually used Puerto Rican tobacco. But, you know, we had three cash crops in Puerto Rico. We had coffee, sugarcane, and tobacco. Now, there was more money in sugarcane and coffee, so they started putting tobacco aside. But, you know, and the land that they used to grow tobacco, they actually damaged that land because normally when you have the cycle of growing tobacco in between crops, you normally plant uh, different uh, plants that actually will bring back the nutrients that you need to grow tobacco to the land. But for example, sugarcane was not one of those uh, plantations that you can actually put those nutrients back. So they use a lot of land that was used for tobacco to grow sugarcane, so they actually damaged the land. And very few people in Puerto Rico, in very small quantities, they grow tobacco, but it's not that the quality is not there. You know. So unfortunately, in my 26 years, I've never used Puerto Rican tobacco.
Mm.
If there was a good crop, you know, and a good quantity of tobacco, if the quality was there, you know, of course I would consider it, but at the moment, it's not existent. Yeah.
Another thing you do, um, which is not many do, okay, is all your blends, you do a very small run per box of each one. I mean, was it 160 or something?
No, I in the beginning I used to only make $60 per cigar. But not, then the cigar the box maker told me that you have to our minimum is $100. So that's what I do, $100 per cigar. So and that's an annual production, you know. Normally some cigars sell more than others. So when I get to maybe 20 boxes, and then I reorder the cigar. But the run of production yearly is only $100. So for example, if I have a box of I have a cigar that's also figurado, which I'm actually waiting the production to arrive. It's called Ingenio number 10. It's a nice large perfecto. But I only make those cigars come in boxes of 5 cigars. So if I make $100, that's only 500 cigars. For the cigar, specifically the cigar. If I make boxes of 20, well, that's 2,000 cigars. 25, that's 2,500 cigars. 10, 1,000 cigars. So that's my production is very small because it's a lot of, it's a cliche, you know, you say it's better quality than quantity, but it's very true from my part that I really, and the thing is that I know my rollers personally. So I know who the cigar specific cigar, for example, I have one guy in Aurora that makes all my figurados. This is
One guy.
one guy. You know, he makes all the figurados. For example, the figurados that I say you, this specific guy makes. I don't have anybody else making figurados because I trust this guy. I've known him for a while, and he's excellent.
So
So
he doesn't work in a pair. He actually
he makes
bunches.
everything by himself. He makes everything by himself.
So he
The other
bunches,
cigars that we
presses.
do, we have a bunch here and then the roller, but so we have pairs, but this guy only makes everything by himself, you know. So he's a very very knowledgeable and very an expert in making figurado cigars.
Now you mentioned you went to university in Washington D.C. Did you go to George Washington?
George Washington, yeah.
What did you study there?
I studied sociology with a concentration in criminology. After that, I came back to Puerto Rico. I studied law, and I got my Juris Doctor. And then I went to Spain and studied gastronomy and hotel management. And then, and throughout all the time, I was making cigars. That was my passion, you know. So you know, but I began when I was 20-year-old. I went to before actually working in a farm in the factory. You know, I actually spent some time in the fields. I believe that the fields and the Vegas and the tobacco crops is perhaps the most important thing because that's where you get the specific uh, tobacco with the quality there and everything. Normally, some of the processes that actually go through preparing the tobacco to be made into a cigar happen sometimes part of it happen in the farms and then they're finished at the factories. But I wanted to learn that before actually making a blend. So that's where I learn about tobaccos and different seeds, you know, the different characteristics. So but you know, that's where I began doing that, you know, when I was about 20 years old, and at 31, then I actually, you know, I went to the factory. All this time, I was taken by the hand, you know, by Manuel. You have to learn from through bottom up. If not, we're not gonna do this. So that's what I did. Yeah, Manuel
So
is my brother. Manuel is like my my I'm part of his family. He's part of mine. You know, it's like a very, very, very close friendship.
Now, how often do you go down? Now, do you
Well,
go down to the
normally,
Dominican
normally
often?
I go about 7 or 8 times a year.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the last time that I was in the DR was February last year. I
Hmm.
was the entire month of February down there. But you know, I normally spend Christmas over there. Sometime during the summer, I'm actually working on a new cigar right now, which is finished. I'm gonna actually introduce it at the trade show. But I was working on that. But normally 7, 8 times a year. Hopefully next year, we're gonna be able to. I'm gonna be able to visit, you know, do that again. You know.
Now, besides the Figurado, which you have one guy doing for you, um, what would you consider some of the most difficult vitolas to create?
Believe it or not, lanceros.
Hmm.
The lancero is such a thin cigar that you have to be very specific and very exact on the amount of tobacco that you put in those blends. So, of course, figurados have their expertise and their difficulty, of course, because you have to be a well-trained roller to actually make those vitolas. But lancero is very specific. The tobacco that you put there, it has to be extremely well placed, and the proportion has to be exact. There's no much, how to say, space for error in the lanceros. That's 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 what I learned throughout the years. The lanceros are a little bit tricky in that way.
Now, I've heard the same, and I've also heard that Churchills are not so easy to make either.
Yeah, but it all depends, on of course, the expertise of the roller. But but
Because of the size, the leaf.
yeah, the thing is that you have to also do a blend that actually will burn. And those cigars are quite a little bit long. Uh, People find it sometimes difficult for them to actually, draw and get all the flavors through such a long cigar. For example, you can look at the in Cuba, the Monte Cristo number 8, the 8. It's a huge cigar. Sometimes, it's very hard to smoke because of the length. I enjoy actually the Padron Magnum,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
a 9-inch cigar. So also, to me, it smokes very well, but it's a long cigar. It's a large cigar. So some people might feel kind of intimidated by them. But Churchills are parejos still, so they're not figurados. So they don't. They might. Every cigar has a difficult way of making it be made, of course. But I believe that the Lancero is a cigar that is mostly, you know.
In the 26 years you've been doing this, what are your favorite leaves to work with?
I'm a fan of Dominican tobacco. I'm a fan of Dominican tobacco, even though I use tobaccos from Brazil, Cameroon, and Africa, Nicaragua, uh, Ecuador. But I'm a fan of Dominican tobacco. You know, especially, of course, not only national leaves like Oro Dominicano and stuff like that, but also Cuban seeds grown in the DR. Piloto Cubano, San Vicente, Corojo. You know, I'm a fan of the land and the characteristics that land actually gives to the tobacco, to cigars.
Is there any special region in the Dominican that you like?
Mostly the Cibao Valley, which is actually the Mecca, with the Toro of Santiago. So, but for example, you go to Tamboril and you go to another place called Monción, which is maybe about 2 hours away from Santiago. Uh, you have Villa Gonzalez, you know, Navarrete, you know. It all depends on the grower, you know, actually. What the grower actually, because when you come to look at it, not too many growers in the Dominican Republic grow Cuban tobacco because Cuban tobacco normally is very susceptible to disease. So for them, it's a little bit hard. It's a gamble. But when they grow it very well. Los Reyes, for example, I was mentioning to you earlier, was Augusto Reyes' brother, and Eduardo León, which is Guillermo León's brother also. So great growers, you know. But they know what to grow and they know what it's gonna be, you know, what the tobacco is gonna be like. Another one that grows very good tobacco is you know, I don't work with him, but for Dominicana, you know. But they grow a very good Piloto Cubano, which is a Cuban seed also, you know. But Tito Gomez. But you know, it has to do a lot with the grower and what they actually know that's gonna be well grown. For example, I have a cigar called Los Procesos, the processes, which I use a very, I know most of the tobacco there is from Leo Reyes, but our tobaccos are very rarely used. For example, I use a tobacco called Equals 2020. It's actually a second bloom of the plant. When they
Mm.
pick up the first harvest, they don't cut the plant. They actually let it grow leaves again. So it gives you another dynamic of the same plant of the plant and everything. So you know it all depends on the grower. You know what they decide to grow.
Yeah, because there's always when you have a blend that has been going year after year to be consistent,
The
the
good thing
crop
that I
the
have,
crop could change,
the
right?
thing that I have is that since I make such a small quantity, I have tobacco in a Aurora
Mm.
from my first blends. You know, because it's such a small quantity, I still have tobacco. And normally, since that tobacco keeps on aging, normally the the other runs and further down the road are gonna be a little bit better each time because such a small amount of cigars, I still have a lot of tobacco that I
Oh,
use.
so you've purchased bales of tobacco from them.
Yeah, and I get a lot of tobacco from La Aurora.
You got
Plus,
your
I also
name on it.
exactly, you know, that's so I still have tobacco, my tobacco at La Aurora, you know, but plus I get a lot of tobacco from them also, you know, and Leo and whoever else that I wanna acquire tobacco from, you know.
So what is the normal age on your, say, wrapper?
Well, 6 years.
6 years.
I don't use tobacco that is less than 6 years old. All that tobacco is at least 6 years old, you know.
And what about in the aging room? How long do these stay in the aging room?
Yeah, normally when you make a cigar, you have to let it age for at least 24, 21, 25 days for all the humidities of the different parts of the cigar to homogenize, you know, and become one. And that's when you're actually supposed to at least try the cigar. Now, I let my cigars age no less than 3 months, you know. Sometimes, depending to the blend and to the tobacco, maybe 4, 5, 6 months at the most. But from, let's say from 3 to 6 months, the cigars have to age at the aging room.
Now, do you
But after those
personally
5 days that I mentioned, that's when you can actually start smoking the cigar and see if it's been developing, you know. But when you have a lot of experience, you can actually smoke a cigar right off the table, and you know how the cigar is gonna develop down the road. That's mostly experience. Other than that, you know, but normally we, 21, 25 days. Normally, what I do is I get my let's say my samples done, and if I'm not in the DR or if I'm down there, they make the cigar and take it back home and I age them in my office. I have a couple of humidors where I do that and try them for at least 3 months. Let's say January 1st. Then I'll smoke it on February 1st again, then March 1st again. And by that time, I see how the cigar develops, and I know how it's gonna be the end product per se. It's gonna be. So it's a process. It's a beautiful process because it's a process of discovery. It's like a journey. It's like an adventure. Because like this, it's gonna end like that. So it's a very nice process.
And it's a journey you've been doing over and again for 26 years.
More than
And
half of my life. I'm 46 right now, so 26 years. So I've been doing this for more than half of my life. You know, I say it has to be a passion, my friend. If you're not passionate about this, it's not gonna work. And some people, for example, I began making cigars during the boom, and most of the people that, even some people that I actually talk to when looking for factories, are not, there's nowhere to be seen because I wanted to make money. It was about making money. My family was never in the tobacco business. My father used to smoke cigars once in a while, but and he gave me my first 10 grand to begin. He's like, how much do you want? How much do you need to begin? Doing this 10 grand. So he gave me my first 10 grand, but he was never in the business with me. I've been doing it all by myself all this time. So you know,
very
so
good. All right, I'm going to take a quick little break here. We're going to give a little shout out to the sponsors of the show tonight. I'm just gonna, you can watch along. I'm not going to put you in the waiting room. So tonight's show is brought to you by El Chan Cigars, La Jolla del Chan. La Jolla del Chan is a Puerto Rican brethren of yours, husband, wife, Gabby, and Liz, have a dream come true for them, where they want all the hands that work the tobacco leaf in their home country of Puerto Rico to have the same opportunity to expose their products. They call it La Jolla del Chan because they cultivate part of their product, and at some point, they want to be able to supply the world with their native tobacco leaf. The pride that Gabby and Liz feel is the same pride of all those who work the leaf, and for those, they deserve a portal that represents them. They want to thank everybody supporting the country of Puerto Rico, and you can follow them at www.lajolladelchan.com and also El Chan Cigars on Instagram and Facebook. Today's show is also brought to you by the Cigar Clowns. The Cigar Clowns is a Facebook group where they are on a journey to find the perfect cigar. If you don't know, now you know. Some people smoke cigars. They are cigar smokers. So you can sign up to be the first to know when they're dropping their next cigar. And the next drop is going to be coming June 4th. And you can check it out on their site, actually on their Facebook page, Cigar Clowns. So check out Cigar Clowns and join the journey. Today's show is also brought to you by, oops, where'd I go? Sorry, just lost something. There it is. Today's show is also brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova Cigars is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. They use quality tobacco and only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar, resulting in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. Expert craftsmanship in every cigar, the brand that I'll work to honor our grandfather and to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Our love for cigars started with our grandfather and a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, check out www.novacigar.com. You can also check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today's show is also brought to you by Tarazona Cigars. Tarazona Cigars, they do it with passion. That's not just a phrase for them. Every handmade long leaf cigar that are rolled is made to the highest quality by masterful rollers. Each hand that touches the process takes pride in the quality and craftsmanship of every cigar that goes into every box. So next time you're looking for a fine smoke, do it with passion and reach for Tarazona. You can follow Tarazona Cigars at www.tarazonacigars.com and also on their Facebook and Instagram channels. And lastly, today's show is brought to you by Rockefeller Cigars. Rockefeller Cigars is also known as the Vintage Rockefeller Cigar Group. They exemplify prestige and exquisite taste blended in an incomparable combination of perfectly aged tobaccos. Inspired by the era known as the Age of the American Enterprise, the creation of each Rockefeller cigar captures a rich American history of men and women who prospered during a time of the Great Depression. Their entrepreneurial spirit made the United States the foremost economy of the 20th century. Their legacy reverberates today with a new generation of entrepreneurs now driven by both the passion to control their own economic destiny and to build companies that will impact the world in a positive way. Check out Rockefeller Cigars at vintagerockefellercigargroup.com and also on Instagram and Facebook. Without my sponsors, the show is always a little bit harder to do. I thank them for their support.
You know that I don't know if I'm right, but I believe that Nova Cigars, they also do one blend, one size.
Yes, they do. Yes, I was gonna mention that. I'm glad you brought that up. So you started the trend a long time ago that you're beginning to see others doing something similar, but you were blazing a trail there that everybody thought you were off your rocker, but you did it well.
Manuel used to tell me that everybody used to think that I was crazy because I was doing that, and now some people are doing it also. So, you know, yeah, that's how it works.
In today's world, it's a very crowded space in the cigar industry today. We went through this moment where the FDA was coming down on us. They still are, but they kind of took a back seat for a little bit. And a lot of new brands were reluctant to even think about getting started. And a couple of years ago, we learned that, okay, they're going to put a little hold on this. There was the court cases kind of said, go FDA, go back and start rethinking about what you're doing to this industry. Kind of opened the door again to some new brands. And there was a number of new brands that came out all through last year in the middle of a pandemic, which was amazing. Okay. But it's a crowded space. And to be able to put out such a large portfolio from the beginning becomes very difficult because you got to get it on shelves. And you've been doing it for 26 years. How many retailers are you in the United States?
Well, I have retailers. Maybe I have about 22, 25 different retailers throughout the entire United States. I have people in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Illinois, Montana, Washington State, California, Colorado, Texas, North Carolina, Florida. I mentioned the two places that I'm in Florida a couple of minutes ago. So it's about 22, 25 different retailers.
Now, are you only retail, or are you also do you also have an online presence?
I have an online presence, but I don't sell online. I'm actually against selling cigars online and on catalog because then I'm not helping the brick and mortar stores, you know.
Right.
So I'm very respectful of that because you have to support the people that actually, you know, hanging in there, you know, and having stores and being retailers for quite some time now. So that's nobody catered to them.
And even though last year was tough on everybody, the cigar industry seemed to have persevered. They found their way through this pandemic when many places shut down. Even brick and mortars figured out that they could do curbside delivery. They could do home delivery. I've seen some do. I personally last year actually would make phone calls to different retailers I know around the country that I frequented, and I threw them a bone and said, you know what, let me put an order in for a couple of $100 worth of cigars because you could probably use some support. But in the end, we ended up smoking more cigars, or at least imported more cigars last year than we did in 2019.
The circumstances, the circumstances. I have a couple of customers in California that were actually doing that. They just put a couple of tables outside the shop, and they used to sell curbside. So yeah, people they kind of reinvented themselves, to survive the pandemic.
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole did very well through it. They navigated those waters, and it's a testament to how this industry works, because it's such a small industry, tightly knit between retailers, manufacturers, brand owners, farms, fields, and guys like me that all kind of know each other, and we're helping each other. And then you put the consumer in that's like sitting at home going, well, I'm working from home now. I can smoke another cigar, or maybe I couldn't until I got out of work. So I don't know how that's going to change over the next 6 to 12 months as things get back to normal. What do you see? I mean, what do you see going on?
You know that because of the pandemic or whatever, there's been like a very small boom going on the cigars. Not as bad as that one in the 90s, of course, but one for the better actually. So there's a lot of people actually that say, doing what you say. They stay home, smoke the cigars, and I think it's gonna be a learning process, and people are gonna be like more. Uh, I think I'm a little bit more the cigars are gonna be more accepted, and this is a small boom going on that is very good for the business, for the industry. So I don't see it like going back as before, since people have reinvented themselves and some people are still very nervous about the pandemic situation. But I think it's been good for the industry.
Now, somebody that went through um, growing a business, a cigar business, during the last boom of cigars in the 90s, and then you saw it fade off a little bit. Um, do you have any lessons learned from that experience to this? Do you have any projections based on what you saw then and now?
You have to keep on it. You have to persevere. You know, don't look back. Just keep on going strong forward. In the beginning, I only used to sell my cigars in Puerto Rico. So in 2005, then I began selling to in the States. Actually, my first retailer was David of Columbus Circle in New York. It was my Michael Hurd was actually was running the
Oh,
shop.
you with Michael, huh?
Oh yeah, he was the first guy who actually bought cigars from me in the States. And but just keep on going forward. Uh, If you start looking to the past, maybe okay, you can learn. You can learn. You have to learn from the past, but also just keep on going forward and doing your thing. For example, to me to have distributors is very difficult because my concept is very unique. So most I've had very bad luck with few distributors that I had because they didn't follow my passion. So that's why I'm doing it all by myself. Like in the beginning, I did it all by myself and doing it all by myself. But normally, for example, every year I take a trip to the States and I spend one month just visiting customers. I think, I do it once a year. Of course, because of the pandemic, I cannot do that, but I'm also a phone call away, and they are a phone call away. I keep in touch with all of them, to see how they're doing and everything. But you have to keep on looking forward you know, and just keep on doing it the way that the best way you know how to do it.
Now, this business is a very personal business. Um, it's a very unique business in the sense that I don't know any business where a owner of a product or a brand sells the product to a store, and then the store wants the owner of the product to come in to do an event to sell the cigars to the consumer.
The cigars go Falto, so they always want to know and see Falto, Luis Falto. So yeah, that's part of doing business, and not only doing business, but becoming friends with the people who actually support you. So they support me, I support them. I love doing events. Because I learned started meeting people. That enjoy the product and everything. So you know, like I said, most of the stores they don't want to see like just a ex rep sending bringing in this fresh cigar. But if I'm gonna do sell cigars too, let's say you have a store and I sell cigars to you, I'll visit you and maybe set up an event, I agree to meet or whatever. But I'm gonna be there I'm gonna be available because the cigars is my namesake. So uh, I love doing that. I love doing events and meeting people and everything.
So
Which is
pre
part of the beauty of the industry. You meet so many people, interesting people, people that you might think in your head, you say that these guys are a little bit crazy. But nevertheless, you're meeting people, the different type of people, and if they enjoy the brand, it's like I say, I'm lucky because I blend my cigars according to my own personal taste, and people seem to like them. So to me, I think that I'm very lucky because of that. Yeah.
so pre-pandemic, okay. How many days were you on the road into the United States?
It's like I say, since I'm in Puerto Rico, but I like I said, I used to travel for 1 month, an entire month, and visit all my customers. I'm gonna be stopping by such and such date, so and they want to do an event or whatever. But I also buy and visit them, just to give them support. But normally a month of a year, I'm gonna be in the States, and of course I go to the trade show and whatever. But most of the time, it's take a month and go and visit everybody.
Yeah, speaking of trade shows, you weren't at TPE, but are you going to PCA?
I gotta be at the PCA, yeah. I
Okay.
gotta be at the PCA. You know, I think it's one of the biggest and most important trade shows in the industry, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I we connect with a lot of people in the industry and everything. But it's good. It's good to meet new people, enjoy meet with old friends and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna be at the PCA.
Do you have a booth number at PCA right now?
I don't have it
Tough
on
question.
it right now. I know that I'm gonna be next to Sequel Lighters. Uh, but the number per se, I don't have it right now at the moment.
Okay. So people should definitely, if you're a retailer going to PCA, I highly recommend, if you haven't tried Falto Cigars, go visit Luis and check out his craft.
You know, the
Unique.
last time that was a trade show, the last PCA trade show, they used to say that I was a best kept secret in the trade show
Ah,
because you know, a lot of people are looking for boutique cigars. A lot of people are very interested in boutique cigars, and I actually call myself an ultra boutique because of my concept of making just 100 boxes and a very small amounts, and the same with the vitolas and the blends. So I call myself an ultra boutique cigar brand. Uh,
ultra boutique cigar company. And
so
you have your hands on the blend, on all these blends.
everything, all the blends are mine. Or the blends, the same with me. The only person that only tastes and comments on my blend when I'm making them is Manolino. You know? But other than that, all the blends are mine. You know, all the blends are mine. You know, so
Right. So that therein defines, even though like small boutique companies, they use factories themselves. What you've got is you are one man show. You
sorry,
do all your blending. You
everything.
you work with your factories. You oversee the production.
I
You
send cigars to myself. I pack it. The package that I send you, I made myself. You know, so if you're gonna order whatever, I make the package myself and ship it myself and everything.
right.
So
You
I
do
do
all the
everything,
work.
I do everything myself. Yeah.
Are you
I don't
still
have,
practicing law?
huh?
You still
No, no.
practice law?
Well, I got the Juris Doctor, but I never took the bar.
Mm, sounds like Jonathan Drew. You guys got a common thread there. A lot
So,
of people don't know that Jonathan went to law school, and yeah, you guys doing this for 26 years, 25 years, and the only thing you haven't done yet is you're not throwing the big party. You need to have a big anniversary party.
no, well, actually, you know that I do in Puerto Rico every March. Most of them during March, I do an anniversary event at my place, at my location, and you know, with my invitation and whatever. So that's a big celebration. But you know, I was gonna do it last year, March 26th, and on the 16th, the thing the thing broke, and I couldn't do it. But hopefully next March, I'm gonna be celebrating my 27th year, and I'm gonna do. Hopefully, I'll do an event. You know, that's
Now,
once a year is the thing. Yeah.
and after all of these years, do you have any philanthropic, excuse me, philanthropic work that you do? Any charity work directly tied to your
Sometimes,
company?
sometimes they ask me for a couple of boxes of cigars to do like an auction or whatever. You know, but you know, not too many of those people actually, you know, are into cigars and whatever. So, but very few, you know. People they have a thing with the autism community, you know, and also with people with muscular dystrophy. So I just give them 5 or 6 boxes of cigars, and they can either sell the cigars or auction them or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious if you also had done anything in the support or the help after the hurricanes.
No, because I was so affected myself, you know.
Oh,
I wasn't, you know, but I wasn't too badly affected, but nevertheless, you know, it was a little bit crazy there, you know, and so it was a difficult situation, you know. Uh,
yeah. Let's hope no more. Yeah, I
don't
agree.
even don't even mention it, you know. Just another different conversation.
Yeah, yeah. You and I, we're in the same boat. I agree. Um, At this point, let me take another quick break. I like to go through what's new in news reviews on Stogie Press for the week. So this week, we did a couple of reviews this week. The first one was the new H. Hupman 1844 Classic Connecticut Toro. This one came in at a 91. It's a beautiful golden tan wrapper on this. It's using a Ecuadorian Connecticut with a Honduran binder and a Honduran fillers in this one. They're producing these out of La Flor de Copan down in Honduras. The flavor profile on this, I found enticing. There was a little bit of a bitter note, but you expected that, and a little bit of papery note that was in the early part of the cigar, which kind of dinged it a little bit. But once that faded away, I was getting these fine notes of cinnamon and coffee, cream, fruit, some natural sweetness, and some pepperiness. The burn on this, these, by the way, come in 4 different vitolas. They're very wallet friendly, between $7 and $8 for the Churchills. So very, very wallet friendly, nicely constructed, had a nice burn coming down. It did get this off burn at the end, which dinged it a little bit on the points. But other than that, it never needed to be touched up, so it ran itself through just fine. So this is something, if you're a Connecticut smoker, you like just a decent Connecticut, this one here is one you may want to pick some up of. The other cigar we reviewed was our friends down in Fort Worth, Texas, Providencia Cigars. This is a little engine that could. They keep churning out cigars on a regular basis. Very small batch all the time. This one is called their Boom Toro. The name Boom comes from, there's a patron at the Underground Cigar Lounge in Fort Worth. His name, they call him Chef because he does a lot of cooking at their events. He always uses the term boom, boom, everything's boom. So they decided to name the cigar after him. This one here is done in the Flor de San Luis in Nicaragua. San Andreas wrapper with a Nicaraguan binder and a Nicaraguan Ometepe filler. Notes on this one were caramel, cocoa, dark chocolate, and the cocoa kind of morphed into that dark chocolate, some dry fruit, earth. There was a mineral note, the kind of mineral I don't like in a cigar, so it did get dinged on that. And then a little bit of, and then some spice that came through. It does have a shaggy foot on it, so it's an unfinished foot. So you always get that little interesting notes in the front of it. Very nice burn, a perfect ash cone. I mean, I look for this on every cigar I smoke. I just enjoy seeing that perfect ash cone when that ash falls. The rest of the burn was pristine pretty much all the way through. And the other thing about this, there was a lot of oiling on it, and it did get this off burn right here, which dinged it. So this one here, we came in at a 92. In the news, it was kind of a light news cycle, but a fun one. The PCA announced manufacturing support and presence. So they put out a press release that identified there were 14 manufacturers that jointly put this press release out that they will be attending PCA. And what's nice about this particular article is they put out all the different quotes from these different manufacturers as to why the PCA is so important, what it means to them, what it means to the industry. And you can read through that in the article. The other fun news article is that our friends over at Fratello, Omar DeFrias, he's announced Fratello beer. So if you're looking for beer to pair with your cigar, go check out some Fratello beer. He's connected up with the Adroit Theory Brewery in Purcellville, Virginia, where he's from, that area of Virginia. So he comes up with 3 different beers. He has an IPA, a hazy IPA, and a Mexican lager. So you can check this out. I understand they're going to show up in some Total Wines, but not everywhere yet. So keep an eye out. If you're in the Virginia area, you might find these. I'm curious to know what people think about it. It's fun. I've seen cigar manufacturers getting a lot into coffee. Fratello's getting into beer. So why not? Let's have fun with this industry. Crown Heads announced that they're shipping their 4 Kicks Capa Especial Aguiles. This is a limited edition. This is going out next month. So this particular cigar here is a follow-on to their previous Capa Especial. This cigar actually was the one that Ernesto, when they started to create the 4 Kicks, this was Ernesto's pick for the original 4 Kicks blend. They didn't go with it, so they went with it. They finally brought it back out of the vault, and they're producing these now. So it's an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper with a Nicaraguan binder and a Dominican and Nicaraguan filler in it. They're going to be limited to 3,000 boxes, 12-count boxes for a total of 36,000 cigars. And then Crown Heads also announced that they inked a deal, an exclusive distribution agreement. There's a company called Media Rueda that's in Europe, and they've inked a deal there where they're going to do an exclusive distribution of Crown Heads cigars in Belgium and Luxembourg. So if you're in Europe, you'll be able to get some good Crown Heads cigars there. And that is the news. And lastly, the other thing we did this week is we also put out, I'm back on the lounge reviews. So as you know, over the last couple of years, I would go out and visit lounges and do lounge reviews. With the pandemic, that slowed down a lot. But just before TPE, I went and visited the Continental Cigar Club in Los Angeles, California. So I flew out there and reviewed this lounge. This is owned by Patrick Potter, who also owns Tobacco Trading Company cigars. But he has this beautiful lounge. It's got a members-only lounge and a little cigar shop connected to it. You can read through this, but he's got a beautiful, beautiful humidor, clean. Everybody in there is a certified tobacconist, so they actually know what they're talking about when they speak to you. Only one person or group of friends are allowed in the humidor with the tobacconist at a time, so they can give you the personal attention that you need to select what you want. They do have this cool membership program where if you're in the Los Angeles area, there are a number of hotels that have these coins that he's given them. This is a beautiful concept. Think John Wickish type of stuff, right? So they have a coin. So if you went to the concierge in a hotel and asked them about where a good cigar lounge is, they give you one of these coins. And when you bring this coin into the shop, you get one of these house cigars right here. Pick of one of those 3 house cigars, and you are allowed admission one time into the members only lounge to enjoy that. So very cool concept. You can check out the article, read all about it. Oh, by the way, a pet peeve of mine, bathrooms. I hate dirty bathrooms in lounges. This is pristine lounge. This is absolutely clean. They go in there and clean this on a regular basis, so it's a spotless bathroom. And that is a beautiful thing. And in here, you could see a video we did was there, which kind of talks through the whole process of what they did. One of the things important about this lounge is that they are looking for investors. They're expanding. They want to build more of these around the country with the same concept. So if anybody's interested to invest in this, you can contact the Continental Cigar Club, and you can email right here to this email. And that is the news, reviews, and lounges on Stogie Press for this week. So, all right. We covered a lot. This has been good. And I don't know if I'm making it to PCA this year, because I did go to TPE, and my work schedule's got kind of putting a demand on me. So I'm kind of 20% thinking I'm going. I'll pull the trigger whenever I do. So if I do get out there, I'll be talking to you again. But before we go, I like to go through a quick lightning round with all my guests. And just a few quick questions. Don't have to get into a large dialogue around it. Other than your own cigars, what is one of your favorite cigars that are on the market or maybe no longer on the market?
Oof, I'm a little bit biased because I really enjoy. I don't like all La Aurora cigars, but I have a couple that are like my favorites. I like the Preferido double barrel age from La Aurora, and I also like the Holy Age cigar that they put out. Uh, I used to smoke a lot of the Puerto 150 anniversary. Uh, that's no longer available, of course. Let me see. Padron, a couple of theirs, but I really enjoyed the Magnum, the 9-inch cigar. It's a, it's a, mostly, I like some Pepin, mostly the Cuban classic from Pepin Garcia. Let me see. That's about it, you know. You know.
Okay.
I smoke a whole bunch of different cigars, you know. I try them at least once, you know. But mostly those are the cigars that I actually enjoy.
You like movies?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite genre of movies? You like action, comedy?
Believe it or not, I like romantic comedies.
Romantic comedies.
Oh yes, you know, and
What
I
is
also
your
like.
favorite one?
Oh man, Pretty Woman could be like one of the top there, and I also like mob movies. You know,
All right.
mob movies. Yeah.
I have to say that Pretty Woman
Yeah,
is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not because of the romantic comedy aspect of it, but I just absolutely love Richard Gere's character in that movie. It's like how to make money. And at the end, he found his soul.
yeah. I also the mob movies that I like. Of course, Goodfellas is like classic.
Yes.
That is a classic, and Godfather Part Two, also. Let me see. Casino, of course, you know anything that you know that has like Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, you know that combo, it's good, you know.
Can't go wrong with those. Um, what do you like to pair your cigars with?
Coffee.
Coffee. Any?
I used to do a lot of rum, but because of my diabetes, I have to quit. But my main pairing choice is coffee. Good espresso, you know. That's my thing. Actually, before getting to talk to you, I had to express it myself. I have my machine here at home, and it was I had to do that before getting the cigars. But coffee is my thing. Yeah, I actually used to sell that coffee that they grew in the mountains here in Puerto Rico. Very good coffee. It was a peaberry. It was the company was Hacienda San Pedro. But yeah, after the hurricane, you know, all went down the drain. So, but I used to sell a cigar not only in Puerto Rico but also in the States. It was a very good peaberry cigar, coffee, very good. You know.
All right. Last question.
Go ahead.
Everybody gets this question. Okay. So don't think this is special for you. Okay. But there's no context in this question. It's a simple answer. Skirts or pantsuits?
Skirts.
All right, there we go. You're in the majority. I'm in the minority. Louis, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
The pleasure is all mine, my friend.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I'll give you the last word.
Well, just to everybody in the industry, customers, manufacturers, uh, keep at it. You know, keep at it. Let's keep making this industry strong and available to as many people as uh, as they want and can. Uh, just start getting people to be interested in the art that we actually do. So that's the most important thing. A lot of passion, a lot of patience, and a lot of love.
There you go. Well, thank you, Louis. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week. There's a good chance that, yeah, next week I'll have a guest. This week after, I'm working on something. So, with
So
that,
on the 9th or 6th, right? We're gonna talk again on the 9th or the 6th. I think you told me about a date that or we just did it.
oh no, we just did this.
Okay.
Maybe we'll talk some more.
Excellent.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. I want to thank everybody again. We'll catch you next Saturday. So thank you for watching.
Okay.